What's going on, folks? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, did you just watch what I just watched? Did you? Because if you did, then certainly you want to talk about it, and you couldn't be in a better place. Welcome to the greatest BB recap on the planet Earth because we do it live and we talk about things that most other channels probably miss. Before we do that, this episode is brought to you by brokenheartshirts.com. That is my custom fashion brand clothing line where I make my own clothes. Go check it out. This episode is also brought to you by richieknoxart.com. That is where I sell my artworks. Go check it out. All right, folks. Before we get started, I have to say a special shout out to my main man Tim. All right, to my homegirl Jenny. All right, Jason Lowe ain't been with us in a while, but what's up, Jason Lowe? I know you out there. To Sharon, these are the amazing people that carry me through these long episodes in which we recap the game. I'm not sure if they'll be with me tonight, but I still want to give them some love because I really appreciate their presence. All right, folks, we're going to do a recap, and here we go. All right, so you know immediately who's going home. Taylor's happy and Alyssa looks afraid. So as soon as the show comes on, you will notice a visible difference between Taylor and Alyssa. Taylor is all smiles, and Alyssa is very, very timid looking. She's afraid, she's quiet, she's kind of looking around very nervously, and you immediately know who's going home without any context. Okay, if you're just looking at both contestants, you just know right from the start of the episode, the minute it comes on, you know that Alyssa is going home because she just looks visibly nervous. Okay, I don't watch the live feed, so I don't know what took place. I've heard what took place. I heard Alyssa has some weird things to say to Turner, and but even if I had not heard those things, just looking at their faces tells me it all. My main man Tim is in the building. Hey, go to the comment section, to the chat section right now, and you'll see the greatest person on the planet. Tim is literally like the polar opposite. I mean, he's the polar. Well, how do you say it? He's almost like the exact same person as I am. We just live on different places on the planet, and we just happen to be two different colors. I looked at Tim. I was like, oh, that looks like me. And yeah. Like Tim reminds me of myself, literally reminds me of myself, and it's hilarious. That's why I love the internet. All right, next. All right, the ladies want to sit next to each other. All right, they feel they have no chance against the guys. So at some point in this episode, Brittany and Taylor do confide in each other, and they talk about wanting to sit next to each other in the final two seats because according to them, they have no chance against the guys. And I didn't say that specifically, but what they said led me to believe that that was how they felt. They didn't feel like they really had a chance sitting next to Turner or Monty, and that the ultimate goal was to sit next to each other. My main man, Jason Lowe, is in the building. All right, the overall question for this episode is, did Turner just make a $750,000 mistake? And, I will get to that point. I will get to the point in which I voice my opinions about that. But feel free to just have at it. Go ahead and jump in the comment section and let me know what you think. All right. But anyway, Alyssa asks Turner, how does she stay in the game? So at some point, Alyssa goes to Turner. And I don't know where this friendship spawned from. I don't remember throughout the season. I mean, from the beginning, Alyssa and Turner having this great BBF friendship. Okay, apparently they have been BFFs, but I've never seen them really talk game. I'm talking about way in the beginning of the game, in the middle of the game. I don't know. It just seems a little odd to me that she would be confiding in Turner to this extent. Okay, but anyway, Alyssa lays out a plan to turn house guests against Taylor. So at some point in the episode, Alyssa starts to talk to Turner about how she could possibly bring people to vote against Taylor. And what she notes is Taylor's survival story and some of the things that she's been through. And, I'm watching and listening, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, Alyssa, you might be onto something. All right, but anyway, Alyssa suggests a four-person slumber party. Now, things start to change a little bit in this episode when Alyssa suggests that her, Turner, Monty, and Taylor go into bed and have some sort of slumber party. And it's at this point where you start to see a shift in Brittany's attitude and demeanor because she realizes that she's left out of the bunch. And that's not too surprising when you consider that Brittany just has a different style in terms of the way that she carries herself. She carries herself like a grandmother, and that's not a negative thing. She has an old fashioned home of the what's the name of that show that came out, House on the Prairie. She has like that type of demeanor, like a very classical old fashioned style, and then you're placing that individual in the house with these young progressive liberal kind of individuals. And Brittany kind of sticks out, and at this point she realizes that she's the only one sleeping downstairs while the other four house guests are sleeping together. Okay, Brittany is jealous about Taylor hanging with Alyssa. So at some point, Brittany realizes that the information, and I would even say the conversation that she has with Taylor about um she has a conversation with Taylor about like a final two deal. And once she sees that Taylor and Alyssa are hanging around each other a lot more often, she grows visibly frustrated and, dare I say, jealous. Okay, but anyway, a showmance is brewing. Yeah, so this happens. Taylor and Monty openly flirt, and Monty and Taylor make out and do something. I don't know what something is, but following the whole four-person slumber party, Monty and Taylor start to do some things that suggest they're in a showmance. I.e., Taylor is rubbing Monty's back at least twice in this episode. If you're watching the edited version of the show, and then things just turn left, right? And then you realize that they're in the bed together and they're like, talking to each other and they're making out. Oh, what's up, Montana? Montana hasn't been with me in a while, but Montana's in the building. But yeah, so you see that happen, and then all of a sudden, you kind of got to put the pieces where the pieces go. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I wanted to puke the entire time. I mean, that's not because it's Monty and Taylor. It's just like, I'm 36 years old. I don't want to see anybody in a bed making out. So, for me, it was just like, okay, can we get this? Like, come on, speed this up. I don't want to puke. All right. It could be Montana in a bed with a lovely person. I still want to puke. All right. But it was the point was, I'm on 36. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want anyone seeing me in a bed with anybody. And that's the thing about Big Brother. That's the entire concept of the show. It is to show that you're always being watched. Right now I'm on a live stream, but for all intents and purposes, maybe the government is watching me for whatever reason, right? Because I'm very entertaining. What do I know? All right, check it out. All right, I'm over here in the comments. Let me talk to these knuckleheads here. Hello, I thought I was coming here tonight to yell. I told you so. No, Tim. So if anybody, I don't know if anybody knows, but yesterday, me, Tim, and some Jenny, we had some conversations about what we thought would take place, and I pretty much called everything in this show, with the exception of Brittany and Turner's decisions. I thought that Turner would have done what Brittany did, and I thought that Brittany would do what Turner did, but they actually did the opposite of what I thought. That being Brittany voting out Taylor and Turner voting out Alyssa. I thought the opposite would happen. I thought Turner would side with Alyssa and Brittany would side with Taylor. So I got that part wrong, but everything else I was spot on. All right, and my main man Tim thought that I was gonna come in here and say I told you so. I'm not that guy, Tim. I'm not that guy. But I am saying that inside my brain though, if anybody's wondering. Okay, so Brittany calls out Taylor for not speaking to her. Brittany breaks down over Michael's comments, and Taylor praises Michael over his actions. So this was a really interesting part in this episode because what happens is, towards I would say the second act of this episode, Taylor is glorifying what Michael said and did upon his exit. She's like, I love Michael. I think she even says that explicitly. She says, I love Michael because of how he exited the game. He showed how this game should be played. And Brittany is in the other room breaking down in tears, bawling. Okay, Brittany was a emotional wreck this episode, and this very action by Taylor is what causes Brittany to do exactly the exact opposite of what I thought. um, Towards the beginning of this episode, Brittany and Taylor, they come to terms, and they're like friends. And this is where my prediction comes in. I'm like, there's no way Brittany and Taylor will go in opposite directions. But because Taylor gloats about what Michael did and Brittany hears it, that flips the entire situation. And I could not have possibly seen that coming. But because of Taylor's gloating over what Michael had done, Brittany was like, hey, I want her out of here. She took that very personal, and she was not able to separate game from emotion. And I could not have possibly seen that coming. Let's take a moment and just say, Taylor, do you not know how to play this game? Michael's comments and actions, though amazing, I'll give you that, Taylor. Though amazing, you have to consider who it hurt when he did that. And it just so happens that the person it hurt is Brittany. And you have to know you're in a house with microphones and cameras, and the house is basically empty right now. There's only freaking a few people in the house. So your voice will echo. You have to have some self-awareness, i.e., Paloma. Paloma was the first person to even introduce me to that concept as it relates to Taylor. No self-awareness. Look, you don't have that conversation in earshot of Brittany, because it could turn her. There was an overarching thing that Taylor felt too confident, so confident that she was willing to have certain conversations that she probably would not have had she been a little more afraid. Okay, so that was the overarching term that I would like to throw out there. A little overconfident, if you ask me. Now, Montana says, what did Turner do again? What do you mean, Montana? I know there's a latency with my episode. You probably talking about something that I said a moment ago, and I don't know exactly what it is. So let me refresh my memory, Montana. All right, Jason Lowe says he voted out Alyssa. True. Maybe that's what it was. And then Montana says, yeah, he needs to make some big moves. I'm getting there. Jason says Turner needs to keep Alyssa and take out Monty next week if they want to have a chance at the 750K. Jason Lowe. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm gonna try not to bust my own bubble, but I'm getting there. Brittany informs Alyssa that her vote won't save her. So at some point, Brittany confides in Alyssa because she is very upset about what Taylor has said and she has heard. So she basically goes to Alyssa because she's like, hey, I want to do anything to hurt Taylor. And that's how I saw it. It was like, hey, I once had a situation with Taylor, but now because of what I'm hearing, I want to do anything anti-Taylor. So that means Alyssa. So I do want to ask this question. Are you okay with Brittany's gameplay this week? In my opinion, she played a little on the emotional side. She was very emotional. Is that okay in this game? Is that okay? All right, Alyssa tries to trick Turner into giving her a sympathy vote. Now, I have to say I am on board with what Alyssa tries to do. What she tries to do is she pretty much galvanizes Brittany's vote because Brittany is very upset with Taylor. So she basically knows, for the most part, she has her vote. So what she does is, which is very clever, and I guess I'm speaking to those individuals who did not see the show, and perhaps you're relying on me to give you some information to help you visualize the game. But what Alyssa does is very intelligent, in my opinion. She goes to Turner and tries to guilt him into throwing her a sympathy vote, because if Turner gives in and does so, she would have 2 votes to stay, because those 2 votes, that being Brittany and Turner, will go against Taylor. So in my opinion, this showed me that Alyssa does have some strategic acumen as it relates to the game that maybe she didn't show so much. She didn't show this level of strategic fortitude, but she certainly shows it today. And Alyssa tells Turner that she would die for him. Now, this is where things turn in the negative for me. All right, Alyssa goes a little too hard. For my friends in the chat, what did you think about Alyssa's pitch to Turner? Because she just lays it on too thick for me. She says she would die for him, and at that point, I'm thinking to myself, Alyssa, no, you're going the wrong way. This is you are on the right track, and you made a wrong turn. That's how I'm seeing the game at this point. She guilts Turner, and as such, Turner grows very frustrated. In his diary room confessions, he pretty much says, "Hey, Alyssa, if you think this is going to work, you're wrong." We've seen so many players try this form of gameplay, and I guess this is a new 2022 strategy where you try to guilt or try to threaten or something of that caliber. This is a new phenomenon in the game, and I'm glad that we're all seeing that it doesn't work. And I'm hoping that the next season, BB25, the players see that this style of gameplay doesn't work, where you're on the chopping block, you're on your way out, and you try to guilt or threaten the people in the game that, hey, if you don't vote for me, I'm going to turn the jury against you. That style of gameplay needs to be abandoned because it hasn't shown any fruit. There's no way that that style of gameplay works. And Alyssa is going to be or she is the latest person to learn it. That style of gameplay is terrible and it doesn't work at all. Sharon is in the house. What's up, Sharon? What's going on? All right, I'm over here in the comment section. Jason Lowe says yes, but she voted the right way for her game. Respectfully, I agree. What's up, Lisa? Lisa's in the crib. What's going on, Lisa? Jason Lowe also says Alyssa is bad at pitching. She could have convinced him. All she had to do was explain how much of a threat Monty was, and then three can take him out next week. Right. So that's what I have to agree with you, Jason Lowe. If Alyssa would have stuck with the threat concept and the threat theory, I kind of feel like she would have had a better chance. But what she does is she threatens Turner. I'm like, what? Alyssa, have you not watched what's happened? Like Terrence did the threatening thing. Daniel did the threatening thing. We had all these people threaten people. Terrence did the threatening thing. And in every case, they all went home. So for me, this is where she messes up. And not only that, you're on the block next to arguably one of the biggest threats in the game, Taylor. So I'm like, you have so much ammunition to really do what you have to do. First off, hey, Monty and Taylor, they're showmans. Turner, you're not going to go. You're going to have problems penetrating that final two. And then Brittany she's out on her own. So for like Turner, like, hey, I'm your person. You're not. There's a new showman's brewing, and I don't think at any point, what's her name, Alyssa brings up the showman's. And I thought to myself, perhaps this is something that when she comes back to the game and watches it, after some reflection, she'll realize that this is where she might have made some errors in her calculations. All right. My main man Jason Lowe says if she was smart, she would have told it in a way that turned Monty into a big threat for Turner. And you know what? I have to agree. The thing about it is Alyssa just did not go that route. She went the threatening route. And unfortunately, I think that was what really did her in. That's my personal opinion. Lisa says, I don't like the threatening for votes. And Lisa, I'm right there with you. We've seen that from Daniel. We've seen it from Terrence. We've seen it from a number of players. And even Michael, to some degree, when he's trying to appeal to the ladies, he's threatening Monty and Turner to some extent. So that is a new phenomenon in this season, the whole threatened gameplay. And I'm gonna tell you, it hasn't worked one time. I mean, you would think it would work. Hey, if you don't vote for me, it's gonna hurt you later. But the problem with that concept is people don't care about later. They care about now. This is why we have robberies and murders every day. I mean, yes, these people know that eventually they'll get caught and go to jail, but they'll take the chance for the immediate gratification now. So that style of gameplay just doesn't work because people, what's immediate is more important to most individuals. Now, I would argue that a very, very, very smart player would say, you know what I do now can affect me later. So let me really think about this. And I think Turner does say something to that effect. Like, wait a minute, Brittany might be right. Let me take a minute and look at this. But still, that being said, overall, that style of gameplay has proven, Lisa, and I have to agree with you, it has proven not to be effective. Okay, Brittany votes to evict Taylor. So now we fast forward to the evictions, and Brittany votes to evict Taylor, which was extremely surprising for me. I said yesterday there was no way that was going to happen. And I think what this does is it shows how bad Brittany's gameplay is. You know, she flips from one side to the other. I mean, you turn on your BFF, what's the best friend forever? Your BFF, y'all were just friends the other day. And just because she's, giving your best friend some credit for how well he played the game, you flop the entire the entire game on her. I just felt like her game is very emotionally driven. And we've seen Brittany have some catastrophic failures and gameplay moments. Pooch, when she's in the refrigerator room with Pooch and kind of exposing people's game, she's played a very bad game this season, and I'll be extremely surprised if she wins. But it's possible, I guess. All right, and then Turner votes to evict Alyssa. I had no idea that this was going to happen. Just very surprising to me. And I thought yesterday, if you watched that episode, you heard me say that there's no way Turner would flip on Monty because that would create issues and tension moving on in the following weeks. But hey, what do I know? Wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting the backwards. That's exactly what happened. Turner doesn't vote for Taylor. So yeah, okay. So actually, yesterday I said that Turner would vote to keep Alyssa. That's what I said. But what he does is he votes to evict Alyssa. And I also stated that I could see him voting to evict Alyssa on the account that he doesn't want to create issues. So let me self-correct myself. Turner does not vote to evict Taylor because of the issues that could ensue. And I called that, but my primary prediction was that he would actually do the opposite of what he did tonight, which was evict Alyssa. Now, Monty, because of those split votes, he has to make the final decision between Taylor and Alyssa. And I'll be honest with you, I don't trust Monty. Okay, I don't trust him. So when Julie gives him the mic and he stands up, I'm just like, he's going to do it. I felt, and I think everybody agrees with me, right? Didn't everybody for just about a pinch of a second think that Monty was going to evict Taylor? Come on, be honest. Just for a pinch of a second, because Monty, this is what I thought. Monty's going to recognize and do it. So Monty evicts Alyssa. All right. I'm black. Back in the comments, my main man Jason Lowe says she should have said, look, all right, I read it already. All right, then she said, Jason Lowe says she played with emotion and not logic, but it's Alyssa. What can we expect? You know what? That's fair. Alyssa has turned on the gameplay a little late. You know what they say, too late. Too late. You try to what's the saying that they say? I forget what they say. I forget what they say. But basically, yeah, you're so sorry, too late. Something like that. Something to that effect. You know what I mean? She just turned on her gameplay too late. This is what the Alyssa that we saw tonight, the Alyssa that we saw this week, is the Alyssa we needed a month ago. And because of that silly showmans, and I don't want to be disrespectful because it's young love, we've all been there, but because of that showman, she doesn't play that version of herself. And as such, we had the wrong perception of her the entire time. Listen, even Zingbot thought that she was a floater. Even Zingbot said she was useless. Those are not my words, okay, YouTube? That's Zingbot, okay? Zingbot said she was useless. But I believe that if she would have played this last week, the entire season, she would have probably been evicted earlier. And two, we would have had a greater respect for her gameplay. So, she just didn't turn it on. Jason, I kind of agree with you on that one. All right, where am I at? Let me see. My main man Tim says, I got super excited when she did that. My kids got scared. I thought it was over when Brittany voted like that. Yeah, I thought that Taylor was donezo. I thought Taylor was donezo tonight. I will say this as well. When Brittany votes to evict Taylor, I was like, even the live feeds were very silent this week in terms of knowing what was going to happen. I've heard a lot of conversations, but no one really had a definitive, it was Taylor's going to go home, Alyssa's going to go home. This was a great week of Big Brother in terms of, keeping the surprise alive. A lot of the live feeds have spoiled a lot of the game. But as Tim pointed out the other day, the live feeds have kind of got a little boring. There's not much going on. Most of the time, the live feeds are off, they're asleep. But yeah, because of those particular factors, I would have to say that it's a lot of surprises that happened tonight. Brittany voting to evict Taylor. Who saw that happening? I had no clue that Turner would vote to evict Alyssa. I had that absolutely backwards. And like I said, Monty's decision was a little on the scary side for me. I thought he could potentially surprise everyone. So great job to Big Brother this week for just keeping some suspense in the game, because up until this point, everything's been pretty predictable. All right, let me see. Jason Lowe says, me too. Lisa says, I was surprised that Brittany voted against Taylor. Me as well. However, Taylor still wants to take Brittany to final two. You know what? That's an interesting dynamic, or at least an interesting point you bring up. I wonder if Taylor knows that Brittany was the one who cast the vote. She has to know that Brittany voted to keep her or boot her out the game. And the thing about Taylor is she has shown the ability to be a little confused or blind when it comes to her allegiances. Remember, she would not vote to evict or put, what was it, Jasmine on the block, despite Jasmine totally being against her almost the entire game. But for whatever reason, and because she was a woman, she just wouldn't do it. But my logic said, Taylor, I understand your outside biases, but in this game, you can't play that way. And Jasmine has been gunning for you. And maybe she's not privy to the information that we have as viewers, but the point is Taylor has shown blind loyalty to an extent. And though Brittany has cast that vote to evict her, I don't know if it matters, because she hasn't shown that she has that type of gameplay, that vindictive, vengeance style of gameplay. Like you take a shot, I'm going to take a shot. She hasn't shown that. She's almost been nice to a fault, in my opinion. All right, back to the game a little bit. So threat gameplay fails Alyssa and everyone who's used it. So Lisa, kind of back to what we said. We talked about this already. The threat gameplay is a new style of gameplay, and I'm so happy that we have seen it absolutely crumble and fail. No one has used it effectively. Now, it's going to go one of two ways from this point. Either someone's going to take the threat gameplay and master it and use it correctly, or it's going to be absolutely obsolete and just thrown in the trash, which I think is more the better idea between the two. It's a terrible style of gameplay. It doesn't work. All right, Julie reveals that Alyssa had been practicing count since 8 years old. So once Alyssa is voted out, she exits the house very gracefully. And to my surprise, she reveals to Julie, or rather, Julie seems to already know this. Alyssa has been practicing Big Brother competitions in her backyard, according to her, since the age of 8. Who knew that was even? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that's what she had been doing. And it's funny because she wasn't really a contender in the competitions. But according to Alyssa, the reason that she didn't do so well in the competitions is because what she had practiced was not exactly what Big Brother had thrown her way. So I think she was practicing some of the like season 10 competitions or whatever, and Big Brother has something different for her. So that's what happened. But anyway, we get to the nomination, or what is it? The eviction speeches. You know how Julie says, hey, we have some eviction speeches for you. And Alyssa knows what's coming her way, some really hard truths. And right off the bat, Taylor snitches on Turner, and Taylor also promises that 2 women will be in the final 2. So Taylor immediately says or blames everything on Turner. And as such, you can get the sense that Taylor is doing some jury management, because she promises Alyssa that 2 women will sit in the final 2, that being her and Brittany. And that's really interesting, because does that mean that Taylor is willing to cut ties with Monty? Because if so, that would be news to me. And as I forget who says it, someone in the chat said that Taylor might still go with Brittany despite being voted out by Brittany, or at least attempted to be voted out by Brittany. So apparently Taylor just has this blind loyalty that I spoke about a little earlier to her friends, or people who she values for whatever reasons. She has this blind loyalty style of gameplay, and you could say that's a good thing or bad thing. She seems to forgive pretty quickly, but for whatever reason, she's gonna do whatever in her power to ensure that a woman wins this season. And you know what? I get that. I understand that. You get a lot of male winners. At some point, you want to just see something different. I'm all for it. It might as well say feminist across my shirt. I'm all for it. But my thing with Taylor is, I just wish that she, considered that the same individuals who she'll protect have taken shots at her. I mean, that's just something I wish she would at least consider regardless of gender, all right, or race. All right, but anyway, back into the comments. Sharon says, do you think Brittany will go to jury house next after Alyssa? Whew. All right. So Sharon, you bringing in the hard question. What's up, Michael? Michael Ewing is in the house. Sharon, that's a good question. I don't think Brittany goes next because I didn't even think to even answer this question, which is why I might appear stumped a little bit. But I am not one to back down from a challenge. So I'm going to say no. I don't think Brittany goes home next. If you ask me, I think it's Turner or Monty. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. So Taylor has won the HOH. You know who's not going to go on the block? You know who's not going on the block? It's Monty. Okay, so it's going to be Turner and Brittany, in my opinion. And I believe they all get a chance to play in the veto, and who wins the veto is completely up in the air. I wish I could act like I knew who would win this veto. I have no clue. All right, but I will say that Monty's going to be safe this week, and I believe that at some point, somehow, some way, Turner is going to go home. Why? Because I believe Taylor will put Brittany and Turner on the block, and the only way that Turner is safe is if he wins the veto. And Turner has been very, very streaky when it comes to the vetoes and the HOHs. He wins and then he just doesn't win. Like he goes on these highs and lows. And I think we just experienced his high a week or so ago where I think it was the HOH. But I think now he's about to go back into that low period. And I think this is the wrong time to do so because he has no power and no way to protect himself. And we all know this. Turner is the most dangerous player in the game, despite all different, despite all variables and factors. Turner is absolutely the biggest threat in the game. So if Turner is on the block against anybody, he goes home according to the way I see the game. I don't care if he's on the block next to Monty. He's gone. Unless, of course, Brittany has the final say, which things can get very interesting. But yeah, I would say that I don't think Brittany goes home next. I think that it's actually going to be Turner or Monty, but I'm leaning more towards Turner on the account that Monty has at least one person in this corner that we can confirm. Whereas Brittany, she's been gunning for Turner for so long, both Brittany and Taylor. But again, Brittany has shown this weird style of gameplay where she doesn't really stick anywhere. Like she was just friends with Taylor just a week ago, and now she's voting Taylor out. So I can't even begin to act as if I understand Brittany's style of gameplay. I don't get it. It's an emotional style, and it kind of goes with the win. So I don't think she goes next. If that answers your question, I don't think so. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Turner comes clean about planning to evict Alyssa. So as you know, Taylor snitches on Turner and basically says it's going to be a final two. All right. But then Turner comes clean. All right. He admits that the entire week was a floozy, that he had no intention of keeping Alyssa, and the entire time he knew that Alyssa would go home. I'm so glad that Turner comes clean in this moment, because if he doesn't, he looks terrible in the eyes of Alyssa, because, like I said, Taylor reveals that Turner had been pretty much working against Alyssa and lying to her the entire time. But thankfully, Turner just uses a little self-awareness and common sense and says, you know what, let me come clean. And he kind of debunks or defunks whatever Taylor had tried to do, which is throw Turner under the bus. But because Turner reveals that he had been actually lying to Alyssa, I think he gets a little grace with Alyssa. But that doesn't stop Alyssa from breaking down crying. She actually bawls and starts crying in the presence of Julie, and I think that's because she was hurt. So she was hurt because Taylor told her about Turner's lies first, and then Turner confirms it. That's like a woman's girlfriend saying, hey, I saw your boyfriend at the mall. So she breaks down there. That hurts by itself. But then the boyfriend comes home and says, you know what? She's right. I have been doing that. So she heard the bad news from Taylor first. And because she didn't hear from Turner first, whether it be from, Big Brother placing the video clips in a random order, I don't know. But because she hears it from someone else first, I think that hurts her the most. Because as you saw this episode, she calls Turner her best friend. And I have no idea why. Okay, I missed that when they became the best friends. I don't know how that happened. All right, my main man Jason Lowe says, I think Taylor and Monty will take each other to final two. You know what, Jay, I would have to say that sounds very probable, but this season is random. I think Brittany's going to be in the final two. And I don't know why I feel that way. You can quote me on this. I believe it was Lisa who asked me, do I think Brittany will go next? I don't. I think Brittany will weasel her way to the final two. And why? Because it's going to be between, here's what's going to happen in my opinion, right? And I haven't been 100% right about anything yet in this entire season, but I've been about 75% right multiple times. Here's what I think is going to happen moving forward. I think that it's going to be a battle between Monty and Taylor versus Turner. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think Brittany is going to be someone who stays on the side and doesn't have to do anything. I think the game is on autopilot for Brittany. I think Brittany, for all intents and purposes, has written herself into the final two seats. Okay, she's going to get a chance because, again, it's going to be Monty and Turner versus, Monty and Taylor versus Turner. And depending on how things fall, that's going to decide how everything goes. And it doesn't help Turner that Taylor has the first shot. Okay, Taylor has one of the HOH, and she's not going to take a shot at Monty. And I told you what I think is going to happen. I think that Taylor is going to put up Brittany and Turner. Who do you think? Who do you think they're going to vote home between Turner and Brittany? Okay, I think Taylor's going to put up Turner and Brittany. Who do you think is going to go home and those two people with those two people on the block? I'll give you, this shouldn't take long, but I'll give you 5 minutes to figure that out. Okay, so my point is, Brittany is going to probably be safe, and then the following week, Monty will be able to play in the HOH, and you know who can beat Monty? Brittany. All right, so I think Brittany has written herself to the final two. I don't think Monty or Turner have guaranteed seats. That's just my viewpoint of the game, and I'm feeling pretty confident about that for some reason. I don't know why. All right, Turner says voting Taylor out this late in the what? Turner says voting Taylor out this late in the game would have been bad. Okay, yeah. So this is what happens as well. So upon explaining things to Alyssa, saying, "Hey, you have always been the target," he points out why he didn't go along with Alyssa's plan to vote out Taylor. He felt that if he had done that, it would have been the wrong move because it's too early for that type of gameplay. And he knew that in doing so, he would be creating a war against Monty. I told everyone in my last episode, I said that because Monty saved Turner, though Turner never really said, hey, I owe Monty one. He didn't say it verbally. At least I didn't hear it. But I knew that Turner, on a subconscious level, would do some things to give Monty some payback. And in this case, it was not voting out Taylor. So you remember last week when Monty kept Turner safe and everybody was screaming at the television saying, hey, Monty, if you don't get Turner out, you're gonna get destroyed in the final two. And Monty went against the grain and kept Turner. And we all figured it out. We figured out that if Monty would have voted out Turner right now this week, Monty will be walking out because it will be 3 versus 1, 3 women versus just Monty himself. But anyway, the point is, I thought that Turner gave him some payback in terms of some grace, saying, hey, because you saved me, I won't target Taylor. So Turner points out that he could not go against that move because it was too early. Okay, so I think that's what really took place. All right. Jason Lowe says, I think next week Turner or Britt go home next. Respectfully, I disagree, but I understand that I am not the big brother genius that I think I am. I thought I was. I'm not. So you could be right, Jason. I don't know. All right. My main man Tim says, I would play that off. No, I didn't vote you out. Hey. We've seen that style of gameplay, Tim. And the thing about it is, it could blow up towards the finale once people start coming clean. Because I was thinking the exact same thing, Tim. I was thinking to myself that, maybe not tell Alyssa what happened. But what could happen is if Turner is in the final two against someone who's savvy enough to say, hey, Alyssa, Turner was the one who sent that vote your way, Alyssa right then and there in the jury would be instantly upset and Turner could lose the game. That's why Michael, if you paid attention, Michael always revealed his moves to the people he voted out because he didn't want those moves to come back and bite him at the end because he always anticipated himself being in the end. So he always revealed his moves. So while that would have, I get where you're coming from, Tim. I just think that Turner was afraid of the backlash should something come out. Because remember, these people have been watching Big Brother for a long time. So they know they've seen players try to hide their moves and it always blows up in their face. If you need an example, check out Paul. Paul won 8 competitions. I believe it was 3 HOHs and 5 vetoes. But his game blew up on him, and he loses to a less superior player in Josh, because at the finale, everybody starts to connect the dots to say Paul has been playing us the entire time, because Paul was hiding his moves. So, Tim, I think that might have been why Turner did not quite come clean about everything. All right, where am I at? Jason Lowe says, heck yeah, make them paranoid. Michael says, Taylor deserves to win after she had a rough beginning in the first 4 weeks. I think she will pull a Hail Mary. Hey, Mike, you know what? I'm right there with you. I said this about 3 or 4 episodes ago. I think of the players remaining in the game, Taylor will win. I won't go as far as saying deserve, because it's my opinion that they all deserve to win for different reasons. I think they've all played a good game in different ways. Brittany being someone who used Michael as a bulletproof vest. You know, the talk of the town was Michael using Brittany as the bulletproof vest. Well, it turns out Brittany used Michael, and then Turner playing a good all-around game with the same thing for Monty, a great all-around game. But we all have to agree, right? Taylor being the first person to go on the block to still be in the game. Come on now. How do you not see her as, and she has done it all with such grace. I mean, she was bullied, she was targeted, she was disrespected to her face and behind her back. How is she still in the game? So you have to respect that if you respect the game of Big Brother, if you respect strategy. Of course, you can say, well, she's been sympathized with, and that's how she got this far. I'll take that as well. But hey, you know, whatever. You know, I'm not the one to say, hey, this style of whatever. If she got there, she got there. Okay. Look, you're talking to a guy who is willing to give Alyssa props because of how far she got in the game. So if I was willing to give Alyssa props, you better bet your last marble that I'm going to give Taylor some props from getting there. Anyway, the HOH competition takes place. Let me see here. And it turns out that, and this is something I did not know, Julie reveals that the person who wins HOH tonight can also play in the future HOHs. Did not know that. So that was kind of cool to hear Julie bring up. Okay, so the HOH competition features Julie, and she's doing these really strange routines where she's changing outfits, and it is the house guest objective to remember and recall certain things from the competition, or I should say certain things that Julie does. And once this happens, the contestants seem to struggle to recall things in the beginning. In fact, I think Taylor takes a early dip in terms of the competition numbers. I think Brittany jumps out, and actually it's Brittany and Turner who jump out with a lead in this competition. And, you know, you start to think to yourself, I know I thought this. Who do you think was going to win this competition? As I'm watching it, I had Brittany picked the entire time. In fact, in the episode yesterday, I told Tim that I thought that Brittany was going to win tonight, but it turns out that Brittany just could not get it done. And you saw Brittany visibly shaken throughout this competition, and you saw her when she got the answers right. She was celebrating very loudly. Like, you couldn't hear it through the television, but you knew that the other contestants could hear her. She was extremely dedicated to win this competition. She wanted this so bad. And if Brittany would have won, there's no doubt in my mind she would have put up Monty and Taylor. She wanted to make that move so bad she can taste it. So every time she got a question right, she would just explode in excitement. But unfortunately, and I have to just say, I was very surprised, and also very, very, I would say I was like, you know what? I clapped my hands a little bit like, okay, Taylor, okay, now you got my attention. So Taylor wins the HOH, and that's her second HOH of the season. I had to give her her due. Look, Taylor has played a decent enough game that I respect it. It doesn't take a lot for me to respect a player's game. The woman was dogged out in the beginning, and most of the bullying was not deserved, in my opinion. Now, if she was a mean person and pushing people and telling people this and that and the other, then fine. But I felt that Taylor did not deserve the treatment that she got. Not that level of treatment. It was pretty harsh. It was really kind of a little overboard. And coming from there and then winning the HOH and being in the final four, she's guaranteed to be in the final three. She's guaranteed. So I have to say, man, you know, it looked. I just was really I don't like to use the word proud too often, but I was really happy to see that she did that. That just made me happy inside. Like, you know what? So be it. But anyway, I'm back in the comments, and Jason says, heck yeah, make them paranoid. And Montana says, yeah, if Turner doesn't win, he's target number one, but Turner has a great shot at winning HOH or veto. And if you mean after Taylor, I don't know, Montana. I'm gonna be honest with you. This I'll be first off, how does Turner make it? Here's a big question. How does Turner make it past Taylor's HOH? Because if Taylor is HOH, there is just no way that I think Taylor, because Taylor had a terrible HOH reign the first time. It was absolutely cringe. Her HOH reign was one of the worst I've ever seen. All right. But I'm hoping this second time around with not a lot of people in the house. But how does Turner make it past Taylor? Because my mind is telling me that Taylor's going to put up Turner and Brittany. Okay. Now Turner could win the veto, obviously, but if he doesn't win the veto, he's going home. He's in this exact same situation that Michael was in because Michael had to win out, which was virtually impossible. And I'm going to say the same thing for Turner. He has to win out, or else he's done. There's nobody who's going to take Turner to the finals except Turner himself. So, Montana, while I do think that Turner has what it takes to win the veto and also win the HOH the following week, I can't wait to watch and see him try because that's going to be very, very entertaining. All right, Sharon says, thank you for answering my question. I try my best. I do what I can. Montana says, yeah, who would you target? It says, yeah, who would target Brittany going forward? Exactly, Montana. Look, nobody's going to target Brittany. Brittany, for all intents and purposes, it's either, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go ahead and end the suspense. Here's what's going to happen, right? Either it will be Brittany and Taylor or Monty. Okay. Follow me on this one. Follow me. The final two will be either Brittany and Taylor or Monty. I don't know which one of those two. I'm not going to go that far and say I know that part. But it's either going to be Brittany and Taylor or Monty or Taylor or Monty. That's what I think is going to happen. Because Turner has to win out. Even if he gets past Taylor's HOH reign, which I don't see it happening. But even if he does, he has to win the next HOH as well, because if Monty or Brittany win, neither of those two are going to take Turner to the final two at all. Okay, Turner has make no mistake about this. Turner has to win every competition moving forward in order to make the finals, and I would argue that is not likely. That is not very likely. So I believe that the final two, and you can quote me on this, I think the final two will either be Brittany and Taylor or Monty, or Taylor or Monty. That's the final two right there. I don't know who wins, but Turner's not going to make it because it's too high of a task to achieve. And Turner hasn't shown me that he has the ability to do what Michael has done, which is just win consecutive competitions. Turner has not won any consecutive competition, so I don't know. All right, if he wins the veto, I don't see him winning the HOH next. So I don't know. There are less people in the house, so I guess the chances are increased. But I'll tell you, I'll be very surprised. All right, Sharon says, I hope Taylor will take final three she hopes that Taylor, Monty, and Turner make final three. I don't know, Sharon. I'm gonna tell you, I think Brittany has her. Listen, this is why I say this. Sharon. Why I don't think that there will be a final three between Monty, Turner, or Taylor. And I'm too excited. It's like 11:30. Why am I so excited about this freaking game? I'll tell you why I don't think that there will be a final three between Taylor, Monty, and Turner. It's very simple. and Sharon, I'll ask you, of these four players, who is the safest person to win against? Monty, Taylor, Turner, or Brittany? Of those four, who's the safest person to take to the final two? All right, I'll tell you what my opinion is. Brittany is the safest of those four players. Okay, so it is my opinion that whoever wins, whether it be Turner, Monty, or Taylor, I'm bringing Brittany to the final two because I have a great argument against her gameplay. She's a floater. Right now, of course, Brittany has this amazing story about, wanting to have children. So you will have to, that's going to come up. That's going to come up. She wants that money for that reason. That may come up, and that's going to be hard to overcome. But if you're talking about a savvy enough jury, they're going to look at the gameplay and they're going to leave out all the other stuff. And if that happens, you have a good shot. But the point is, I do not see a scenario where those three make it because Brittany is such a good person to take the final two. Hey, look, I said, quote me on this. I think without question, it's either going to be Brittany versus Monty or Taylor or Monty and Taylor. That's what I think. Anyway, as we get to the end of the episode, Julie does drop some information on us. She tells us that Sunday's episode will air at 8:30 for those on the East Coast, and then it will air at the normal time for those on the West Coast. All right, and then next week there will be no Big Brother, which was kind of interesting. No Big Brother at all. But next Thursday at 9, we will get the final three competition. Okay, so that's what we hear about. That's what we find out. That's what we know. And I have to ask the question again. Did Turner make a $750,000 mistake by voting out Alyssa? I know I didn't talk about that this episode, but that is the overarching theme. And I'm prepared to give out my opinion on that. The answer is absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I don't understand this. Okay, why would Turner keep Taylor in the game when there's a brand new showmance on the horizon? It's almost as if he learned nothing from the Alyssa Kyle showmance, okay? Because showmances dominate alliances. Showmances come before alliances. So my answer is very simple. Yes, Turner just lost $750,000 by voting out Alyssa. Why would you do that? I have no clue why Turner would do that. Made 0.0000 sense to me. Why would you keep a hot Taylor is hot? Okay, she is like scolding hot. She got the money. She has the money in the bag. I don't know how many people beat Taylor in the finals. That's just my personal opinion. Now, granted, the house guests might not be as high up on Taylor as maybe the people that's watching, because you got some people who don't really like Taylor so much in the jury. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion necessarily, but certainly there are easier paths to the win than going through Taylor and Monty. So I think that without question, Turner makes a critical error. And listen, this is Big Brother. And look, I'm all for, making or being conservative throughout the game, but we're in the final four. I think it's about time to cut the conservativeness. And then the thing about Turner that he says that it's too early to make that move. I would strongly disagree. This is the perfect time to make that move, Turner. You're in the final four. If you don't make this decision, you get to keep Alyssa, who's going to be loyal to you to some extent, because she realizes that you just saved her game. And not to mention, Alyssa is playing the new threat style of gameplay, which means that when she goes to jury, she's going to pretty much steer Kyle's vote against Turner. That's 2 votes against Turner. Turner made a critical error. And let me know if you disagree, and I would like to know why, but it's my opinion that Turner just made a game-losing decision by voting Alyssa out. One, he keeps a showmance in the house in the final four. You cannot make that up. Why would you keep a showmance, which is 2 people, in a final four? And then the other side, outside of the showmance, is just you and Brittany, whereas you two have not worked together at all, and Brittany wants you out as well. So for all intents and purposes, Turner just put himself in a 1 versus 3 situation, which is why I don't see a way that these 3 make it, that being Monty, Taylor, and Turner. Bad decision, in my opinion. That was a $750,000 mistake, and I can't see it any other way until Turner wins out. That's just how I see the game. I hate to be the wet blanket here, but I just felt like that was a bad move. You keep Alyssa in that situation. And I know it's easy for me to say that. I know it is, because in that game, it's a pressure cooker and you have to make split decisions. But I'm going to tell you, I just felt like that was a bad one. That's just how I see the game. All right, I'm over here in the comment section. My main man, John. What's up, John? John says, I'm mad that Alyssa got evicted. Yeah, I'm not now. I'll be honest with you, John. I'm not mad she got evicted. I felt like in the final 5, anybody who goes, they go. All right. The only person who I probably got mad who got evicted was possibly maybe Pooch. I'll be honest with you, because I had such great expectations for him. So when he left, I was like, what was that? That was, and it wasn't, it was Pooch's fault, because he just was like this like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. He just wasn't just strategic. Just talk a lot. He did too much. So, but that was the only time I was upset at all. But so I won't say I'm upset Alyssa went out. But if I am a Alyssa fan, if I am a Turner fan, I'm certainly upset because I'm thinking to myself, Turner, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. Look, I know Turner has a lot of fans out there, but I'm questioning your logic on riding with this guy. Okay, he's made some very, very questionable calls throughout the season. Look, I was high on Turner when he stood up for Taylor. I thought that was a very honorable thing to do as a young man. I think he's like 22, 23, I forget. I thought that was very honorable, but he's made some very, very questionable calls throughout the season. And for me, they're starting to add up a little bit. They're starting to be like when you're hiding clothes underneath your bed or underneath a rug. It's like it started to show a little bit that Turner, his gameplay is starting to show a little bit. So that's, I don't know, John. I'm not, I don't know what's going on with his gameplay. Tim says maybe he don't see the show, man. I heard on the live feeds, Tim, that he realized that the beds were empty. That Taylor was not in her bed, which brings me to something I forgot about. At some point in this episode, Alyssa actually walks in the bedroom while Monty and Taylor are in the bed together. And that was very, very awkward, okay, to say the least. And I'm wondering why Alyssa did not run straight to Turner and Brittany and say, look, they're even in the bed together. So I don't know. But maybe you're right, Tim. Maybe that's why he didn't really make that decision, because at the time, because this showmance is pretty new, maybe that's why he doesn't even consider it. Jason says Brittany caught the showmance, right? And Alyssa as well, Jay. All right, Turner needs to win veto and vote out Monty. Oh my gosh. Look, Jason, I think I don't know what Turner is doing. I know people like Turner, but I'm telling you, I'm just being honest with you. This is kind of how I felt about Michael when Michael was winning and doing some great stuff, and he voted out Terrence. I'm like, Michael, you're the HOH. You don't vote out Terrence. Why would you vote out Terrence? You don't think you have a bigger fish to fry in the game right now? And I feel the exact same way about Turner right now, voting out Alyssa. That was absolutely insane. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, folks, I'm going to stop this episode here because it's running a little over. It's 57 freaking minutes, for crying out loud. But I have one more video I'll be doing. And just to give you a sneak peek about the question, I wrote it down. Is Taylor unbeatable? Let's talk about that if you would like to. I know it's late, but let me give you a little context around that question. Think about it. Somebody already said it in the chat. The question is Taylor unbeatable? Why I say that? Because she has the best story currently in the house. Her story is better than Monty's. Her story, not her gameplay, her story is better than Turner's. Her story is better than Brittany's. Okay? So her story is amazing. And then she has two HOHs on her resume, which technically I think ties Monty's and beats Brittany's. I forget. I think Turner won 2 or 3. I want to say 2. So if I'm not mistaken, and don't quote me on this, Taylor has as many HOH wins as Turner and Monty, all right, and has more than Brittany and has a better story than all 3. Does that make her unbeatable in the final 2? That is the question I'll be asking in 15 minutes. And Britt won 4 votes. Hold on. What's going on? Hold on. Jason says Turner won 3. Okay. All right, I got you. So Turner won 3 HOHs. Thank you, Jason. And Brittany won 4 vetoes. And the question is, will they value the veto? And I didn't know Brittany won that many vetoes. Are you sure about that, Jay? I know she won maybe 4 vetoes. Oh man, that's kind of impressive. Maybe I'm sleeping on Brittany a little bit. But the question is, will the jury value HOHs more than vetoes? Most times they do, but if Brittany just phrases it as I won 4 competitions, it might go over their head a little bit. But yes, that's the question I'll be asking. And as you can see with Jason, he's kind of pushing against that, saying no, she's not unbeatable. Taylor won 3, Britt won 4. And Jason says I believe 3 or 4 for Britt. And veto is the most important comp to win. I would disagree, Jason, only because while the veto does allow you to take someone off the block, it's the HOH that allows you to put people on the block. But I think we can agree to disagree on that. I think it just depends on your style of gameplay and the way you see the game. For me, HOHs might be important or more important than vetoes. But then again, if I'm being fair, I can see why the veto is also very important because the veto protects both you and somebody who you want to protect in the house. And that's saving two people. So I mean, you know, that's not something I would argue about. I think that I would respect someone's opinion on valuing the veto over the HOH. You know, I would respect that opinion if I can be honest. All right, my main man Tim says, all right, I'll watch the second one tomorrow. Look, Tim, no pressure, man. No pressure at all. Go to sleep. All right, if you win every veto, not even HOH can send you home. Facts. That's a fact. But my pushback, Jason, is who would win every veto? That's my pushback. Yes, so I guess what I'm saying is, Jay, is you would have to win every veto to actually for the veto to be as powerful as a HOH. And the problem is no one will win every veto. We saw that Michael, think about it like this, Jay. Michael won 6 vetoes and he still got booted out. And that's because the HOH put him on the block to be booted out. So not even the veto was able to protect him because you can't win them all. But again, that's the last that I'll say in pushing back against that because again, I can respect someone's viewpoint on seeing the veto as more powerful. I just respect that particular viewpoint. All right, but anyway, all right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes. I realize y'all might have to go to sleep. I need to go to sleep, but I gotta talk about this just for a second before I do, and I'll see you in a moment. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the likes. I really appreciate that, and I'll see you in a moment. Peace.